All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Talkin Investing. You're here with Tom and George. We had a big week this week for AI, NVIDIA. We got a new Fed chairman that was sworn in today. There's a lot of news, a lot of stuff to go through. Are we going to have a bull market? Are we going to have a bear market? I think we have 9 days until we're going to find out. So we're going to talk about exactly what that means later. So, George, thoughts?
Hang on, give me 30 seconds. 30 seconds.
30 seconds for George. All right. Well, in the meantime, welcome, everybody. Welcome to our subscribers. Special welcome to our members. And if you guys, while we're waiting for George, if you could just please smash the like button for us. We're going for 150 likes. We got 100 plus likes last week, which was the first time in many months. Let's get this thing moving. We put a lot of time into prepping for this, so I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you do, please smash the like button.
Okay, I'm ready. Tom, if you're ready for this, then you're ready for anything. If you had $100, if you had $10,000, where would you put it? Bitcoin, XRP, gold, real estate, AI stock, mining stock? These are great ideas. Who will become an AI millionaire, or will you become unemployed? What are the top 5 jobs that's not going to exist in 10 years from now? Think about that one. Is Bitcoin really going to hit 250? Why are rich people quietly buying nuclear, solar, data centers, Bitcoin miners, and oil? Could America ever ban Bitcoin? And we're already living through the biggest wealth transfer in time. And actually, in the next 5 to 10 years, it is actually going to be the largest transfer of wealth from one generation to the next. Will home ownership become impossible time? And why are billionaires? I won't say that one. That will get me in trouble. Could AI run an entire company? That's it. I got more, but we'll get onto it. We're talking about AI girlfriends, AI friends. Is society changing? It is.
Society is changing. If we can get through your list and my list, that will be quite a feat. It's an unbelievable amount to talk about, but these are wild days. So this is the thing. Like, there's no hyperbole. All of that stuff is going on right now, and we're going to talk about as much of it as we can here, because these are... I've been around. This is my 6th decade, and I've never seen anything like this. Economically, I've never seen anything like this in the stock market. I've never seen anything like this socially, geopolitically. These are just different days, and it's time to adapt or get left behind. So hopefully, those of you who have been with us for a long time, we have been trying to stay up to speed, up to date, and adapt to all this stuff, because it's coming at us fast.
In time, we have less than 50 days, and the world is going to completely change. I'll tell you more about that real soon. 50 days.
50-day countdown. So I got my 9-day countdown that we're going to get to, and you got your 50-day countdown.
I predicted this over almost 6 months ago now. The world is going to... I'm going to tell you that for the United States, I can't speak of the rest of the world, I think we're going to flip a switch. And I think when that switch gets flipped, people aren't going to know what to do, because it's just going to be gobs and gobs.
I think the biggest takeaway from everything that you said, and it was a lot, is the wealth generation and wealth transfer that's in the middle of happening and going to happen. You know, you've got companies like, for those people that were early on AI, and I don't mean years early. This is not one people had to wait for. If you bought SanDisk, for instance, like a year and a half ago, you're up like 4,000 or 5,000%. SanDisk was, I mean, that was a run-of-the-mill. That wasn't on anybody's radar. Nobody was looking at that. Western Digital. I mean, there's dozens of companies that have already 5x, 10x, 50x. But the thing is, we're only at the very beginning of the cycle. the supply chain for AI, we haven't even begun. And we're going to talk a lot about the bottlenecks and where I think by far the biggest opportunity going forward is.
Wow, Gamut Beer, I'm glad you're okay. Gamut was in the hospital for a week with a kidney stone on his hike.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah. Wow. And hello, everybody. I think Chelsea, the only politics we'll do today, Chelsea Gifford or whatever her name is,
Tulsi Gabbard. I want to talk about that for a minute, but go ahead.
I think it's really to be with her husband. I think, it really is. I mean, it's such a sad thing for something like that to happen, and the survival is not looking good.
I am going to talk about and show you guys some of what I feel is one of the most despicable headlines and reports I've ever seen. Journalism's dead. That's not my business. We're not in the journalism business. We're in the trying to make money and have a community here online business. But I just want to show you guys, and we'll go through that, what Bloomberg had to say about that situation. And I don't care if you're left, right, or center. If you're not appalled by this, something's wrong with you. That's my opinion, not financial advice. All right.
Something is wrong with you.
We will get to that. I don't want to lead with that because there's too much good stuff going on. So we'll get back to that. Sour Melon Gaming, I see you in the comments saying, sorry, Tom, there will be absolutely no chance of a rate cut this year now. That's the first poll we're going to go.
Who said that? Sour
Melon.
Bite your tongue. Listen, now I'm in Polymart. And I'm telling you right now, I just spent $200 on a 0.25 rate cut in June. And also in July.
How much is it? The key to that story is how much it's going to pay out if it happens.
Between $13,000 and $16,000.
It'd be crazy not to take. Those are the kinds of predictions, because they're not bets, I guess. Even if you're likely to lose, your odds are so phenomenal that they're disproportionately good bets to take, just statistically speaking. Not that we do not endorse betting and gambling. We are, however, on the fence about. We got to be on the fence, George, because now the SEC is launching some investigations into these prediction markets. There's some people with like 99% win rates, and they're worried about maybe a little insider trading going on there.
Have you seen the money that these people are making?
Oh, it's insanity. And this is coming at us.
Idea.
I think there's a chance the United States is going to ban it.
Please, no. Do not. See, I'm convinced, Tom, it's another way to control the flow of money. And I got to shut up.
I know where you're going. And we'll let everybody just fill in the blanks for themselves on that. But
be members if you're not, by the way. Because we're having a lot of fun on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And we're really, right. I think that somebody, not me, has it dialed in, and it's time with these stock picks.
We've been on fire on Tuesdays. If you remember, drop in the chat if you feel like we've had some good. I feel like these have been some of our best members only streams. And I think there's a lot left. There's a lot left in the tank. I feel really good about it. So special thanks to all our members. And Dan, thank you for the super chat. Dan said, target for MicroStrategy this year. Bitcoin target this year. So I will tell you, I'll answer this, but and at the same time, I'm just going to warn you, I'm going to dodge the question because time frames are always, it's fool's gold. I am very bullish on Bitcoin. I'm going to walk you guys through in this stream why I think we are at the end of the bear market. So it's my personal opinion that Bitcoin is going to go up, I think, north of 100,000 by the end of the year. So that is not financial advice. I don't know the future. And if it does do that, it will be in defiance of all of the previous 4-year cycles. I happen to be in the minority that thinks the 4-year cycle wasn't what everybody thought it was. There were some other corresponding things going on. Again, I will talk more about this specifically later, but so I think there will be a Bitcoin breakout. I don't know that we'll hit a new all-time high this year, but I think there's going to be nice 25 to 50% gains to be had in MicroStrategy and Bitcoin in 2026. And remember, we're already almost 5 months into this year, so you know we're moving along. But I think the move is going to be up, in my opinion. I am bullish. I'm going to walk you through my bullish case on this stream, and you know, you guys can drop in the comments as to whether or not you agree, disagree. We'll talk about it in the poll. First, we're just going to do this simple poll, and then there's going to be a follow-up poll to this poll, because I cannot believe what the market thinks right now. And I'm probably going to be a contrarian on this one as well, but I think people are going to wake up one day and go, wow, that's the most wrong, this is madness. So I'm going to get real specific on that after this poll. But I think people's expectation of what's going to happen to interest rates is wildly incorrect. I think the market is pricing it wildly incorrectly, and I'm stunned. I'll be honest, I'm just absolutely stunned. I've never, and if they're wrong, you know, to George's point, if you're on a prediction market or something like that, you're getting like $10,000 on your $100 bet. It's because there's nobody left. Well, you know, I won't sway your votes, but we're going to look at what the futures are building in, the CME futures regarding rate cuts, rate hikes, and it where it sits right now today is the most stunning place I've ever seen it sit. It's the most I've ever disagreed with it. Usually I'm a little more aggressive than the futures are, but this is not a little bit of a difference anymore. This is a fundamental difference of opinion.
Well, I can tell you the rest of the year will go based on if there is a rate cut this month or not. Next month or not. Because I think worst case scenario, you got to do it in July. But I think you want people to feel good for the 4th of July. You got to remember, that's the 250th anniversary for America. And what are you going to remember? You're going to remember if you get a rate cut, Tom, people are going to be feeling good because they loosens up money. And I know everybody thinks at a point, 25 basis points is nothing, but it really is psychological that it helps people out because it changes the 6% APR on a mortgage to, you might even sneak it into 4.75 for people with good credit.
And Gambit Beer asked, Tom, how is the interest on bonds looking? I believe inflation is going up. I will tell you again, I must stress this is not financial advice. I am investing in, I'll just bring it up real quick because
you're so funny. Jersey, you agree? I'm marking your words. 100K at least. It better. I will tell you though, I am still out of Bitcoin right now. And it's been so tempting to get back in, but I just couldn't do it.
Yeah, I'm shocked you've managed to.
You're not, Sauer, you're not. Why would the odds be 99% that it's going to be no change next month for the interest rate? That's what everybody believes.
We just flashed to 50-50 on this chart. I think you guys are going to be shocked when you see what the futures have built in. It's stunning. So to go back to that interest question, I am investing in, this is directional daily 20+ year Treasury Bull 3X. This is a triple leverage. I cannot stress enough. I warn everybody, these triple leverages, if they don't go your way, you're going to understand what volatility is. And I know this channel talks about a lot of highly volatile stocks. You can lose your shirt on these, so buyer beware, do your own due diligence. But I believe long rates are artificially inflated right now. This 20-year directional 3x leverage right now might have been yesterday. I'm going to switch to the all-time chart. This play is at an all-time low, the lowest it's ever been in its history. And I believe that is because the long rates, everybody thinks inflation is coming. Everybody thinks we're about to head. I don't know why everybody's not like, if the market does what people think, you better start building like shelters and that kind of stuff, because it's pricing in absolute catastrophe. So for this to be at it's not at a 1 year, it's not at its 52-week low, it's not at a 5-year low, it's not at a 10-year low, it's at the lowest it's ever been in its history. So if the bond markets turn around, if the treasuries turn around, this could go up. I mean, you're talking about, this is trading at $33. In 2020, this was trading at $460. I'm not proposing there's any chance that we get back there. However, if you look at 2023, $64, that's more than a double. 2024, $65, that's more than a double. I mean, this thing could double or triple or quadruple super easily. If you go back here, this is $93. That's a triple. This is 2023. So remember, those were the years we were in quantitative tightening. So it made absolute sense in the period of quantitative tightening that rates were reacting this way. This does not make sense. It's panic. The price of oil is up. I believe that we are having wide-scale panic by retail investors, and I really, really believe hedge funds, big money, they are laughing at. This is the hardest they've ever laughed at us. And at the same time, they're taking more of our money than ever in history. And that's why we do this stream. And, you know, you can agree with me, you can disagree with me, or George as well, but something's going on. There's a reason there's such a concentration of money, and, you know, the few wealthy. I've got an article. We already have our first trillionaire. That's one of the articles I'm going to go through today. So, you know, I remember not so long ago. Listen, I'm getting old, but I'm not that old. I remember not so long ago when there was nobody on earth. Bill Gates and Warren Buffett were the richest people on earth, and their net worth was $40 billion. That's now turned into $1 trillion. That's not normal inflation. That's radical centralization of wealth. And look at the top 10 or 15 companies. $1 trillion companies, nothing anymore. There were no $1 trillion companies. Now we get a new one every day. By the way, we're going to have not one, not two, but 3 IPOs that IPO at over $1 trillion. At least one of them is probably going to IPO over $2 trillion. It's insanity what's going on right now. And we are on most of retail investors. And I'm not, you know, hopefully the people on this stream are the ones doing well and being the outliers. But retail's getting destroyed while, you know, wealth is getting transferred. So, you know, we'd like to be a part of the winners.
Well, the good news is if you were in the top, you know, 10 stocks, you're doing fine. But Tom, I have to tell you something. I'm extremely disappointed in you.
Oh, no. Why?
You haven't told anybody to hit the like button yet today.
Oh, smash the like button.
Sorry, we're at 41, by the way.
We're at 41 likes. We're going for 150 likes. We got to our goal last week for the first time in months. Let's do it. Let's get to 150. Nuts. Help us out. It's greatly appreciated.
By the way, we're talking about the war in Cuba. You know, I'm praying to God we don't get into it before after July. I just don't think America can handle it. And it would be another reason to mess with oil. I know it doesn't really have anything to do with oil, but it has it psychologically.
Everything has to do with oil.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in Cuba. I would hope that everybody would like all of these wars or conflicts or whatever you want to call them, for them to get resolved. And let's move on with the business of doing business, because nobody wins these things. I understand they're complicated, and there's two sides to every story, and life's just not that simple. But I'm not going to say I'm optimistic, but I am hopeful that the war in Iran is winding down. Having said that, there's a very big part of me that feels like the possibility of making a deal there is unrealistic. So I worry about it. It would be great if they came to a deal, violence ended, the strait opened up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But those are all, unfortunately, the only thing I can do about any of that is pray. And that's the extent of it. So, and yes, obviously, I don't want the next thing to break out. Russia and the Ukraine are maybe talking about winding down the situation over there. But again, I think we're all at a point where we'll believe that when we see it too. I don't want to get bogged down in politics. I don't want. Yeah, no. Yeah, I'm just saying we're just talking about it because you feel bad for the people in Cuba. They don't even freaking have gasoline, let alone electric. I feel horrible for the people in Cuba. I feel horrible for the 90 million people in Iran. It's not. These aren't good situations. Gambit Beer said he did not get any notifications. I'm going to take a minute and send everybody a message right now, because YouTube is just not sending notifications on our streams. It's bizarre. No. So pardon me if I'm distracted for 30 seconds. I'm just going to send out. Guys, it's because when you move the needle in the wrong direction, they don't like it. And I think that's what we've done. It's been touch and go. The 10K challenge, I'm at $5,500. I think I'm going to do it, guys. 10K back, get my money back in 4 years. But it's interesting to think that by not giving up, we're still going to get our money back. And probably start to really get some wealth. Everybody's going to get everybody who's a subscriber is going to get a notice from me right now. Oh, I should have put. I'm going to. Oh, that really. Me? You blame me.
Yeah, I blame Tom.
Well, you're not the first person to blame me, and you won't be the last. I should have attached a link so people could get here. I'm going to do that. So double apology. Oh, and guys, guess what went up 6% today? I'm up almost 60% on this trade. Anybody like to guess what it is? It was one that either Tom recommended, I think Tom and somebody else recommended it. So I can't remember the other person, and I apologize. SMCI. Yes, this was a members only pick that we talked about, and somebody else, I think, was already in it, but I brought it up that day because there was something specific that happened. The stock fell off the edge of a cliff. It was the easiest buy. That we've been getting presented with some easy opportunities, and I don't even like to say those words out loud because nothing in this investing world is easy. But lately, if you take a step back and take the emotion out of everything, things start to get a little more clear. I believe. Or we're just on an unbelievable lucky streak because we are on fire right now. All right, let's talk about, you know what I want to get to early? I want to talk about what our group of stocks did from a performance standpoint this week. I have actually missed going through this in some weeks. because we get so sidetracked with the 1,000 things there are to talk about. But I want to make sure to get that in. So I'm going to do that right now. I just want to show you what are formerly Bitcoin mining stocks. They are now, so we now have 3 different groups, and I may break them into 3 groups. We have some heavily Bitcoin miner or pure play Bitcoin miners. We have some early stage hybrids. We have some, so there's 4 groups. We have some later stage hybrids between Bitcoin mining and data centers. And by later stage, I mean companies that have contracts that are collecting revenue. And then we have another category, which is companies that have just abandoned Bitcoin mining. Longtime Bitcoin miners, some of them Bitcoin miners since their inception, that have just switched gears, gone over to AI high-performance computing centers. And I'm about a year into celebrating that, but the first year, I was a skeptic, and I must admit that anybody that was late, anybody that, the last 3 or 4 people in, I wish them luck, but they have fallen dramatically behind some of the leaders, and I'm going to go through a few that I think are going to end up being, large cap companies. These things that were within the last 2 years, nano cap companies. I think several of them, at least 2 or 3, will end up as large cap companies. So that runs the whole spectrum from nano cap to micro cap to small cap to medium cap to large cap. Now there's the mega cap companies, the $1 trillion plus companies. I don't think any of the ones on my list are going there. But, if you go from $200 million to $200 billion, that's a nice run, even if it takes 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it takes. And those years started counting a few years ago, not from today. I see some people saying Hive is on fire. We'll talk about Hive next. Actually, we're going to go look at that right now because we're going to look at what these stocks did this week. And these are some eye-popping numbers. Okay, the first thing to note on this, so this is just from last Friday to this Friday. This is this week. Bitcoin was down 4% this week. So these stocks used to be just tethered to Bitcoin. And there were at multiples. So I will tell you, if this was a year and a half ago, this would have been a week where if Bitcoin was down 4%, Marathon would have been down 16%. CIFR would have been down 20%. I mean, this would have been a 3, 4, 5, 6x leverage red day. That's what used to happen. That's not happening anymore. So many of these companies no longer even really move with Bitcoin. There's only, like I said, a very small list that are pure play Bitcoin miners. ABTC is a pure play Bitcoin miner. It was in second last place. This is not a miner at all. Microstrategy we put on here because so many people are invested. This is a direct play on Bitcoin, but it's neither a Bitcoin miner nor a data center company. So Bitcoin down 4%, ABTC at 0. Last place. Hive, 51% this week. Hive's up 51% this week. So we're going to talk about, they put out a press release, which we will go through next, and it's a game changer. And it's one that they desperately needed, and there's a couple of other companies I'm going to mention that if they can do the same thing, they're going to get this kind of bump. And Hive's not done. We'll look at year to date. So up 51% in 1 week. That's called a good week. I don't know wherever you guys come from, but where I come from, that's about, that's a good week. So Cleanspark, unfortunately, Hive was up so much, Cleanspark doesn't even look impressive. Cleanspark was up 22% on a week that Bitcoin's down 4%. And understand, Cleanspark is in very early days of data center, high performance computing, AI. So they're from a development standpoint, from a talking point standpoint, they are now all in. They were a pure play Bitcoin miner. They actually got rid of their CEO. I suspect, although they never said, I suspect because simultaneously they went from saying, we're a pure play Bitcoin miner. We have nothing to do with high performance computing. We don't want anything to do with it. We're proud that we are the Bitcoin miner. Now they hardly mention Bitcoin mining. They're all about building out their infrastructure. They have a lot of megawatts. We're going to look at a chart later that talks about that of power. This is a game of power now. And for those that have access to the power and for those that started early, like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, prepping for this, they're ready to plug stuff in or they already have stuff plugged in. Those are the ones that are the most advanced. So in any event, CleanSpark, I want to look at the chart later because it had a technical breakout. I called this on Tuesday, and this stock rallied the rest of the week.
Did you see the 13F filing on Monday, Tom?
For CleanSpark?
Yes.
I looked at all the filings. I don't... Who bought? Who's in? I thought...
Did this... What is it? Lipo? Spanner? I don't know.
Shoot. I don't have that article up. We did talk about that. There's an individual that jumped into several of these stocks.
Yeah, we did talk about that.
We talked about it on the members only stream. I'll see if I can grab that article because it's very meaningful. This I can't pronounce his name, so I'm not going to try to. We will. We will get to that because he basically came in. This is somebody that turned like $100 million into multi-billions of dollars in a very short window.
Billion.
Right. I mean, it's inconceivable. And he just, put out where all his where he's putting his money right now. And it was very misleading. I've seen a lot of people talk about this and not really understand what that individual did. So I'll try and clear that up as well. I will pull up that article. I have it saved.
What was crazy about it, Tom, if you read more into it, is that he used OpenAI to do it.
Oh, yeah. Well, and he was with OpenAI.
Right. But then he used it to make his decisions on where to place this $100 million.
Did the bank open just 6-7'd me? Come on, you guys can do better than that. I must have said a 6x or 7x or something. I don't know.
Well, that's right. 65, Tom. We're getting there.
And hello, Mr. Zhang. Thanks for joining us. Somebody said read the post above. I just can't find it.
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, yeah, Leopold Aschenbanner. That's it. Thank you for doing that. So I will bring up that article because it is meaningful, and I think he's early. For as long as we've been talking about these, I think we're still early, and this is the opportunity I'm talking about. I think right now. Well, let me get through this. No, I'm sidetracking myself. It's got to be done.
What are you sidetracking? Well, hey, I got an idea. If we get to 150, I'll call Sue and try to get on the channel in the next Friday or two. By the way, guys. But she's going to hack some AI company.
IREN co-founder says AI's biggest bottleneck is infrastructure, not chips. Now, the chip stocks have already 5x, 10x, 20x, 30x, 50x. And I'm not saying there's not money left to be made there because some of them are still, I'll point out, I own some Micron. It's still at a forward PE of 8. So that stock is treated in a different way. Their chips have been treated like a commodity and it's a boom bust type of a cycle. So they get heavily discounted. So even with their 700% run up in the last year, they're at a forward PE of 8, right? They've raised earnings ridiculously. They're going to earn They may earn more than any company in the world in 2026. Or 2027. They're projecting over $100 billion of net income, not revenue. I'm not talking top line. I'm talking bottom line net income of $100 billion. This was a $50 billion market cap company a year ago. So they have structurally changed who they are, what they make. There's only 3 companies in the world that make them. They are not a commodity anymore. And unless you think this AI thing is a fad and overblown, then this isn't going anywhere. And I can just tell you from an infrastructure standpoint, they need to somewhere around 5x our energy infrastructure in the entire grid. And so much of that is in data centers. It's monstrous. So the thing is, that doesn't happen overnight. So even if everybody wanted all this stuff tomorrow, they can't have it, because if you're going from a green field to a working data center, you're talking, if you're lucky, you're 3 years away from that. You're probably 4 to 5 years away from plugging a machine in if you start right now and do everything right. So this is a 5-year story, in my opinion. I don't know how there's any way around that. Obviously, who knows? Anything can happen. But this is the bottleneck. So the chips are a bottleneck. Power is the bottleneck. And all of the companies we're talking about deal in power. So their shift from Bitcoin mining to creating data centers, and I'm going to give this individual right here, I will tell you, 2.5 to 3 years ago, I criticized on this very channel because he started his quarterly earnings call by saying, we are not a Bitcoin mining company. And it's just a little pet peeve of mine. IREN at that point got 100% of their revenue, 100% from mining Bitcoin. So I really don't like companies that are promising some future thing. So when you're 100% revenue from Bitcoin and you lead your conference call by saying you're not a Bitcoin mining company, you lose me. But he followed it up by saying, we build data centers. We are the world's expert at building data centers. Our data centers are better than everybody else's data centers. And he basically, in the middle of when Bitcoin and cryptocurrency was the rage and AI hadn't even started yet, IREN was pounding the table, letting people know, this is what's coming. And guess what? They were right. And as a result, they're ahead of almost everybody. And their stock has, I'm fortunate. I bought IREN at $6. It's trading in the high 50s right now. So I'm at very close to a 10x. And I have not sold one single share. This is not financial advice. Some people may not want to buy a stock that just 10x'd. And so do your own due diligence. You got to get comfortable with these things. But I think IREN hasn't even gotten going, right? They're a $20 billion market cap company now. And I think they're going to be, based on the relationship that they have with Microsoft, one of the biggest companies in the world, for the last 25 years, it spent the most time in first place as the largest company in the world. A few companies have passed it since then. So they have a big relationship with them, a big contract with Microsoft, and they have several contracts now with NVIDIA, who is by far the biggest company in the world right now. Also, the leader in AI. As NVIDIA goes, AI goes for the foreseeable future. So they have a 5-year relationship to build out 5 gigawatts and fill them all with NVIDIA chips. So I'm very bullish. Again, none of this is financial advice. George and I are here, trying to tell you what we think and what we see. But that's right. How I look at this.
Never borrow somebody else's conviction on a stock. You will lose out every single time.
That's a channel mantra. You can. So thank you, George, for those words of wisdom. You can't borrow somebody else's conviction. You got to look at the stock yourself, and you got to believe in it, because for every stock, I don't care if it's 30x, somewhere in the middle, it had a bad day or even a bad week, and you're going to panic. If it's not your own conviction, all of a sudden, if they have a 15% down day, you're going to go, oh boy, I guess that dude, whoever he was, I don't even remember, was dead wrong. You're going to buy high, sell low, and that's not the formula. So we implore you. And it doesn't take, and I'm not talking about taking 10 hours or a week. Take one solid hour of research on a company. And in my opinion, that's enough to create your own level of conviction in that company. But if all you did was hear somebody mention it, or maybe you heard 5 people in a row mention it, wow, now it really must be good. Well, please be careful, because the more people that mention it in a row, the less likely it is that it's necessarily the right stock to buy.
Tom, we hit a wall at 70.
Uh-oh. Do us a favor, smash the like button. It's most appreciated. It helps the channel out a lot. We got a really big show today, George.
Big show, Tom.
Big show. These are big days. Alim is asking me, Tom, how about space? We have to talk about space. What I'll mention right now quickly is that there is a launch from SpaceX, the last I knew as of an hour ago, scheduled for 1 hour from now. So that launch has been postponed and delayed multiple times. I don't know if it will happen, but that is from SpaceX, who's about to go public, and we're going to talk about them. But this launch is monumental for them. They cannot get this launch wrong. So I don't know if it's going to happen. Again, they've postponed it a number of times, and not just due to weather. They've had glitches that, for safety reasons, they want to be ultra sure this goes off without a hitch, because they're about to launch the world's biggest IPO. By far, it's not close. So
32 minutes, Tom. Supposed to happen at 6 p.m.
Oh, 6 p.m. Okay. So
no, sorry. 6:30.
6:30. So just around an hour from now. And we'll see. They could scratch it even during the countdown. You don't know. We'll see. But that thing needs to go off. And if it goes off, the thing I worry about SpaceX, and I will get back on track. The thing I worry about SpaceX is, I know particularly in the United States, and if you're from somewhere else in the world, let me know, and let me know what your thoughts are on this, and what you feel like your community thinks about this. The tolerance for an accidental death relating to space has gone to absolute zero in the United States. It is why we went from having manned space mission after manned space mission, trips to the moon, and I know there's going to be a lot of people that say we never went to the moon. That's fine. Okay, we did or we didn't. Either way,
we went around the moon.
We just went around the moon. Our risk tolerance, and I'm not saying this is right, I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm just saying it changed dramatically. When we were in the space race in the 60s, our tolerance was very high. It was get to the moon at all costs, get to space at all costs. It was the touch point of the entire Cold War at that time. Right now, that kind of pressure is not on. And if one of these launches goes off and blows up, even if it's unmanned, that's going to freak people out. Heaven forbid it's manned and there's loss of life. I don't know what that will do to SpaceX. And I don't want to get on a tangent, but the reality is, right? We're in very early days of exploring space, and exploration of any kind throughout all of human history has come at a human cost. It is not easy to explore and expand. So I don't know if we have the tolerance. We're about to have they're going to be one of the biggest companies in the world on day one, but I hope nothing ever goes wrong for them ever, but that's not a very realistic scenario. And I don't know what the reaction is going to be. I don't want to be holding SpaceX on a day something goes the wrong way. And again, obviously, I'm not looking for that day or hoping for that day. I hope that day never comes. But, we retired our space shuttles. They're in storage. They're in museums because we had one crash. We shut the program down for 3 full years. Then we had another one crash and we shut it down forever. So that's my concern with SpaceX. And I haven't really heard anybody talking about that. I don't know if people haven't just thought the 1 or 2 steps forward. It's a real thing. Now, a lot of their stuff, first of all, a lot of their stuff has nothing to do with rockets. That's only a third of their business. Secondly, a lot of their rockets are unmanned. So I understand all of that is important, but Elon Musk's mission, he has a bonus, a $1 trillion bonus tied to creating a colony on Mars sustainable for 1 million human beings. Now, that might sound like science fiction. I think that sounds absurd. I will be honest. I think the board would have given him $100 trillion bonus, because I think everybody on that board probably believes there's a 0.0% chance of that happening. But he does, in fact, if he can get their market cap to 7.5 trillion and get 1 million people on Mars, he's going to get a $1 trillion bonus. So that's where his head is at. I can't get from here to there. I just can't. I think there's too many steps in the middle. And the difference between going to the moon and going to Mars is the difference between running to the grocery store and flying 10 times around the world, not halfway. So
one of these days, Alice. One of these days, Alice.
To the moon.
Right to the moon. Joe, that's a great one. It seems like it was just yesterday that we were celebrating this. Happy Pizza Bitcoin Day.
That's not happy for one person. I can only hope
Did you hear Elon Musk's comment about don't worry about saving for retirement. It's not going to be needed. It doesn't matter. Have you heard this?
He has this is what I'm saying. I will give him credit. He's about to go public with a second company. He's going to have 2 of the 12 biggest companies on the face of the earth. There's nobody that's even in his league financially at this point. It's ridiculous. We're going to talk later. He's already on paper. He's already a trillionaire. Once this IPO is official, he will officially be a trillionaire. I mean, a trillionaire? That's crazy. But he's got some pretty whacked out ideas. And listen, I applaud him for his innovation. Nobody can deny he is a great innovator, but I do think he overpromises, and I don't think it's because he's lying. I think he's the ultimate optimist. He wants everything to happen. He wants to do as much as he can. He thinks no one's going to have to work ever again 50 years from now. And we're all just going to sit home and get paid for doing nothing. And it's going to be utopia. And I just, again, that'd be great. I guess we'd probably all vote for that, but that is highly unlikely. Mr. Zhang, I hope I pronounced that right. I forget every time. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks for being a member. And he said, happy Friday, Tom and George. Let's keep winning. Yes, Let's keep winning. We have been on a rally. I hope everybody's portfolio has been green lately, because if you're trading in the stocks we're talking about, you've been very, very green lately.
So I heard somebody, and I mean, who knows if it's true or not true, but somebody got in the first round of SpaceX, and they put in, I know it can't be true because of the amount of money it was, was $50,000 was going to return 10 million.
So they definitely didn't get in on the first round.
Yeah, there's no way.
It's because remember, it's a privately owned company owned by Elon Musk. So the first $5 billion came from Elon Musk. So I don't think he was collecting, 1,000 here, 50,000 there. But there are other pipe investors, there are early stage investors that I'm sure, but I don't know. So somebody can fact check this, but I would imagine this, in early rounds, the small investors were putting in $100 million. He just doesn't need anybody's money beyond, a scale like that. It just wouldn't make sense. That would be like you or me borrowing a penny from somebody. There's just no scenario where you're borrowing a penny from somebody. Nobody needs a penny. And Elon Musk does not need $50,000. Those are my thoughts on that. But for the people that got in early, I'm sure it's going to be a big win. But there's a storm coming with these IPOs. So we're going to get to that because there's 3 of them. And they're 3 of the biggest IPOs. They may end up being the first, second, and third largest IPOs in the world. The SpaceX IPO is, just to put it in perspective, Saudi Aramco went public in 2019. They raised, I think, $26 billion. That beat, I think, what was at the time called Facebook, raised, I think, $20 billion. Those were the 2 biggest IPOs in history. SpaceX is looking for $75 billion, triple the biggest IPO in the history of time. And there's 2 more right behind it that'll both break the old record. So we are living in different, this is what I say at the top of the stream. These are different times. Like, we're moving at hyper speed in every way that I can see. I'm just looking at first of all, I want to end this poll. And will there be a rate cut in 2026? 56% said no. 44% said yes. Or 43%. 57-43. It just flipped to. So we'll end it. So that was about 50-50 most of the time. No ended up winning. I'm going to ask a follow-up question, and later you're going to see why.
Oh, wow. That's some nice information, Matt. By the way, this channel is nothing without you guys, especially the members. Thank you.
Yes, much appreciated. I don't know the answer to that, Gambit Beer. That would be interesting to find out. He's asking if there was a small Canadian Bitcoin miner that had a share in SpaceX. All right, so did I put that new poll up? Will there be a rate cut in the next 14 months? So the futures market prices in what they think is going to happen through the July 2027 Fed meeting. So that's why I'm picking that period. Between now and every single Fed meeting that they're projecting, do you think there will be a rate cut? Yeah, Matt Brown is mentioning, I'm still catching up, but Leopold Aschenbrenner's situational awareness is IREN's second largest shareholder. And guess where Leopold's finance is chief of staff? Anthropic. So this was a big endorsement. And I will get to go through an article and show you what this person did. And it's somebody who is a pretty much brand new. He's having a lot more than 15 minutes of fame. He made, what was it, George? $13 billion.
13.7 billion.
So, you know, he's on a historic run right now, and he just released all of his new investments. And the sector he was the longest on by far was what we formerly call the Bitcoin miners, which are now data center companies. And there were 4 or 5 in specific. I'll get to them. IREN was one of his biggest purchases. So, and somebody earlier, Sour Melon Gaming said, IREN $100 billion market cap by 2030, question mark. So again, it's only my guess, not financial advice. I think it'll be at 100 billion long before 2030. And I'll tell you why I say that. Once these companies reach a critical mass, I said this about, and I'm going to get some hate on this one, I just know it, but I said this about Palantir. When Palantir ran to 200, it had priced the next 5 years in. So I said at the time, this stock's going to go sideways. The same thing happened to Tesla. These stocks, once they catch on, they build 3 or 4 or 5 years worth of expectation right up front. And then all of a sudden, it happened to Amazon. Amazon's one of the biggest companies in the world. It has underperformed the S&P 500 for the last 5 years. So if you would have put your money in a mutual fund, you'd have done better than investing in Amazon, one of the 5 biggest and one of the most successful companies in the history of the world. And by the way, the first company that has a very legitimate chance next year of having revenue of $1 trillion. $1 trillion in revenue. So this is what I'm saying. These numbers are, now, I actually think it's not a bad time. This is the best time in the last 5 years to buy Amazon. But I said it several years ago. Amazon was trading at a 180 PE. And everyone goes, PE doesn't matter. You don't understand how this works. They're pricing in growth. It's like, no, they already priced in growth. They priced in this year's growth. They priced in next year's growth. They priced in the year after that's growth. And that's why Amazon's gone sideways for 5 years. It's why Palantir's down from $200 down to $130-something. That doesn't mean there won't be swing trades on it in the middle, but so my point is, I think IREN is going to run in a similar fashion. I'm not saying it's going to be worth $100 billion 24 months from now, but I think they will have priced the entire run-in over the next, at the most, the next 24 months, in my opinion. So it's some of why you got to, I try to be early, and sometimes it's painful, but if you're not early, you're late. Pick good stocks.
It's only 4x from here? 20 billion? 5x?
It's a 5x from here. It's not
250? But that's, dude, that means 250, then 250 is 500, then 500, 750, then 7. That's good money.
It's big. That's right.
How many options do you have in IREN? Do you have any?
I have no options. How do you buy an option when the stock was selling for $6?
Uh-oh.
So I bought all stock.
No. Because somebody has options.
Oh.
That's a member that did 30% in September for $100.
Did they buy them or sell them?
Sell them. Covered calls.
Oh, well, $100, I'm sure. Well, I'm not sure, but that seems like a safe bet. That would be a double between now and when? When were they? September? I mean, that's one.
Oh. Neptune Digital Assets was the company.
Oh, okay.
SpaceX.
Thank you, Gambit Beer. So that's probably their most valuable. Tom's euphoria is deeply concerning. That was a comment in the chat. I will tell you, I'm worked up. I'm not euphoric. I know there's a lot going on. I kind of opened. If you watch what I said when we opened, we're moving at warp speed. We're moving at in ways we've never moved before, and it's just, you know, where we used to 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago when we did these Friday live streams, there would be 2 or 3 press releases to talk about and maybe one thing going on in the world. Now, I mean, we could do a 5-hour live stream and not hit all the important things there are out there. It's just, there's just so much going on. So I do get, definitely, you know, I'm very interested in this stuff. I just am.
Wow.
So I get worked up. But it's excitement, but it's not euphoria. I do not invest with emotion. I will say one thing. I'm all emotional. By the way, but I'm reading on your IREN article, there's an ad next to it, and it's talking about Grayscale's Zcash trust. Oh, there you go.
Amazing. That you think crypto's not the future?
There's an awful lot of signals. Crypto has fallen to the background right now. AI is the deal. I get it. We've got some exciting AI IPOs coming up. We got SpaceX coming up. We got a lot of exciting things going on. But the fundamentals behind Bitcoin, I'm going to make a bull case for Bitcoin, or at least a case where I'm going to show you some of the reasons. I found several articles on some of the reasons I think the bottom is in. And then I will give you the counterpoint as well, because we don't know. We're all speculating.
Bottom of crypto?
But yeah, I think the bottom's in for crypto.
Oh yeah, I think if we're not at the bottom, I mean, we're bouncing on the bottom. How about that?
Yeah, that's possible. It may, you know, sometimes you have to form a bottom for a little while. But I'm going to show you one thing, and that's my 9 days from now. And so you want to go to that next?
Yes, 9 days from now. Tom, we're at 83 likes.
83 likes. Let's do it.
150 we get Stu on the stream.
Smash the like button.
Hopefully.
Most appreciated. Thank you.
Thank God we're doing well in the stock, Tom. Because you know what?
What?
The stream doesn't do too well.
I don't know what to tell you. The people, maybe they don't like us, George. I don't know. I try not to take it personally.
No, I don't take it personally, but I find it interesting, though, to know the success. And
this
then to know, you know
this stream used to do 5 times what it does right now. So, but you know what? We're here for our members. We're here for our subscribers. And if you join us, I hope you enjoy what we're doing here.
Wait for a second.
All right. I'm going to go to, so this is really simple. I'm going to go to what I alluded to on the thumbnail, which is we're going to find out 9 days from now what direction we're going in my opinion. And I will show you why. Okay. This is the Bitcoin 1-day chart. I'm going to talk about 2 different things. One, we're going to know in 9 days. The other, we're going to see. So if I zoom out on this, you're going to see I have this blue line is the 200-day simple moving average. This differentiates, and it's clear. Let me find it. What did I do? All of this right here, all of this was above the 200-day moving average. You can see it went below it for a minute, came back up. So the whole bull run from 70,000 to 126,000 was above the 200-day moving average. Bear markets are below the 200-day moving average. So you can see we're 6 or 7 or 8 months into a bear market right now. We just are. And it's obvious looking at the chart. Having said that, get all this nonsense off. I'm going to zoom in. We did just do a very hard test of the 200-day simple moving average. I think we're set up to do another retest of that. It looks like the daily RSI, you know, it was holding strong, and it was holding strong above 40. And, you know, that was kind of a 50's neutral. 40 seemed to be a good point. We're going to find out shortly if it bounces off of 40 and goes back up, or if we have to do a full reset all the way down to 30 or 25 down here, where it can get to. Either way, I'm going to take a break from what I'm talking about because I want to thank Matthew Brown very much. Thank you for being a member. Thank you for the super chat. It is much appreciated. That's very generous of you. I hope your portfolio is nothing but green. So thank you again. All right. Back to the program. Either which way, I mean, we're quite a bit of the way through. Sorry. Sorry, pressing the wrong buttons. There we go. All right. Either way, we're quite a bit of the way through resetting the daily RSI. We got to overbought at 70, and I will tell you, when Bitcoin's cooking, 70 is not overbought. 80, 85, on rare occasions, 90. But we're now down from 70 to 42. Maybe we got to go to 30. I don't know. That's the next few days. Once we do, I think we are going to retest this 200-day moving average. If we can close above this 200-day moving average and confirm that we stay above this, so, you know, that could take a daily candle, several daily candles, if not a weekly candle. If we can do that, then I think that is going to prove that we bottomed. I was confident on this day. I just said this is the bottom. We hit 60,000 on February 6th. I actually called on the 5th and made all of my purchases on February 5th. And I still think that's the bottom. It's 100 days later, and we're basically pretty much up, right? I mean, that is the direction we've been moving in. Yeah, there was a pullback, there was a pullback, there was a pullback, there's a pullback right now, but that's how bull markets work. Things don't go up in a straight line, but you can see this trend is up. So it went all the way up to this massive point of resistance where it's currently holding. I think we're going to break through that, but that's not what the 9 days is. There's another thing that's going to happen. 9 days from now is May 31st. If the daily candle on May 31st, I've got a white line that goes across the screen here. That's at 76,931, and I want to confirm that that's the right number. And we'll find out in a second. I'm going to switch right now, and you'll see what I'm doing here. I just switched from the daily to the monthly. So this is the wrong. Let me just fix the number. It's 346. I don't know how that changed. Okay, that's the proper placement. So $76,346. If we close a daily candle on May 31st above that, then we will have had 1, 2, 3 green months in a row. Bitcoin has never had 3 green months in a bear market in a row. Only one time in Bitcoin's history did it have 2 green months in a row. So even 2 is a semi-confirmation that the bear market's over. 3 green months in a row, to me, in addition to the fact that you can see the direction the 200-day moving average is, if we can close a third month in a row, 9 days from now, if we've confirmed 3 green months and we've broken through the 200-day moving average, I will feel confident that we are in a bull market. The bear market's over. The crypto winter's over. I know a massive amount of people are going to disagree with me on that. So we'll make that the next poll. But those are the 2 things I am specifically looking for in the next 9-day window. And we're going to see what happens. And it's going to be a fight. They're both going to be a fight because there's an awful lot of people that are shorting. We'll get to that later. The shorts are still dominating the market. Bitcoin's holding on and is green and having these kinds of runs, even with the shorts going all in trying to suppress this. So we're going to find out. I'm hopeful those 2 things happen, but I'm going to wait. And if those 2 things happen, then George, to your point, then I will buy options because then I think the bull market is on. But I'm going to need confirmation through the 31st and then probably at least 1 week into into June to see that we retest, we hold, and I think we could be off to the races. Now that's a very optimistic outlook. Conversely, we could have a red month, nullify that whole pattern. We could not retest the 200-day moving average, fail that test. If we go 0 for 2 on those, then we got more pain to come. Right?
We got more pain to come, Tom. Because of that stupid clarity bill and what's really going in the politics. Isn't it sad that everything comes back to politics?
It is sad. It is sad but true.
Within 9 days, Coach said Bitcoin will have a golden cross at 50 MA, a close above the moving average, crosses above the 200 moving average. So he said put up the 50-day moving average.
Here.
Thanks, sir.
I believe that's the 50-day and that's the 200. So if you look at it, this is a 1 month. Sorry. Let's go to a 1 day. Now you're going to see what he's talking about. These are getting very close.
What does that mean when those cross?
It's, the opposite of this is a death cross, which is supposed to mean doom and gloom. And this is a golden cross, which is supposed to mean bull market. It is one indicator. I like this indicator. I'd rather have this happen than not happen. But what I'm trying to do is show you a bunch of indicators. So now add that to the list. Let's say we get our 3rd green month in a row. Let's say we cross the 200-day simple moving average. Let's say the 50-day average crosses the 200-day moving average. Now all of a sudden you are starting to pile up pieces of evidence that say we're not in a bear market anymore. We're in a bull market. So the more data points you can get that point towards that, all of that's still not a guarantee because there are no guarantees in this game. But those are all strong indicators that there's a shift in momentum. I know there's a lot of people that just think, if I go back to the weekly here, there's a lot of people that think, you could do the opposite analysis. Let me just get rid of these for the moment. What'd I do? You could draw it this way. You could go, look, the momentum is down. We're in a bear market. Sure, you get some runs up. We had a run up here. You get some runs up. We had a run up here, but the momentum is down. So this is why technicals, you got to look at a lot of different things, because if you go in with a bias, you will confirm your own bias. But I've just given 3 objective things. A third green month in a row, crossing over the 200-day moving average, and then somebody who suggested the 50-day simple, the golden cross. Somebody in the comments section. Coach.
56.
So thank you, Coach, because that's a third data point. With those 3 together, you start to put a puzzle together and go, I think I see where this is going. So
down, down, and down.
Time will tell. We don't know. But we have 3 objective things that we can look at to see. And if those don't confirm, right, that's why I said if those 3 things confirm, and then preferably if we retest and they hold, that's when I'll start. I won't mess with my regular positions. I'll start taking options long, because that's when things can really heat up. So again, not financial advice.
Welcome to Talkin Investment.
Options are not for everybody by any means. Gambit Beer, member for 44 months. Thank you, Gambit Beer, for your long time membership and all your comments. Tom, in light of Trump's settlement with the IRS, which exempts him, his family, and other investments from tax investigations, is ABTC a buy now? My only concern with that is really ABTC is a majority owned subsidiary of Hut 8. So I know both of the president's, well, I won't say both, he has more sons, but his 2 oldest sons are major shareholders in ABTC. But ABTC is actually a Hut 8 company. They actually consolidate it into their financial statements. They are a majority shareholder in that company. And so I don't think, I mean, at least the cloud's not over their head anymore, if that's what you're pointing at, because all things Trump from an investing standpoint, there has been a giant cloud over. I've never invested in any of it anyway, but just for that reason alone, I wouldn't invest, because there's too many people with too much money that want all of that to fail. And, you know, they got it's all small enough that they can make it happen. ABTC, though, is really more of a Hut 8 thing. So Hut 8 says they're not into Bitcoin mining anymore. They, as a company, they mine no Bitcoin. They own no Bitcoin miners. However, they're the majority owner of ABTC, and they host all of their Bitcoin miners. So Hut 8 still is an indirect play on Bitcoin, but you get the energy side of it as well, because they are fixated on energy and data centers. Whereas ABTC, they spun that off, and that is just a pure play. ABTC will never have high-performance computing data centers. They don't even host their own machines. They're certainly not going to host somebody else's. So those are my thoughts on that.
Wisdom down towards 55 to 35K zone by the end of the zone. Possibly if Trumpy keeps acting like a fool instead of focus on American force. First, I will buy the dips.
Just in case. I don't see those scenarios, but 55K wisdom, there's other people out there that think 55K.
I see a 50, Tom. But the big problem is the Clarity Act and these idiots that can't get their freaking head out of their ass.
Don't be surprised if the Clarity Act isn't law 30 days from now.
Don't be surprised if the Clarity Act isn't law 30 days from now.
You're right. Don't be surprised either way is the point.
Yeah.
But up until last week, I have been extremely pessimistic on the possibilities of the Clarity Act passing. But there are 2 senators, 1 Democrat, 1 Republican, that have an absolute understanding. They want this to cross the finish line. They have together taken other legislation. They're about the only two that have had any success at all. And this is their baby, and I think they're going to do it. And everybody's clamoring for it. And it's not really, it's a bipartisan thing. Other than, the party out of power usually doesn't want anything to happen, certainly nothing good, just for political reasons. And that goes for both parties. That's a nonpartisan statement. Other than that, there's just no reason for this not to pass. The banks have agreed on the language. The crypto companies have agreed on the language. The senators have agreed on the language. This is the best chance. I would like to see on Polymarket what the odds are, because they had tanked. I'm just going to do a quick search on that. Let's see if we can see. Well, if this is the right one, it's still pretty close. All right. Where's the chart? Don't care about the order book. So 55, Clarity Act signed into law in 2026 is at 55%. So I would have thought it was higher than that. It had plummeted. I don't know why this isn't showing me the chart. But so I'm a little more optimistic than the general public is. There is a majority that thinks it will pass. Listen, to your point, George, there's no way I'm going to be shocked if it doesn't. They've been kicking the can down the road on everything they can in every way they can for a very long time. So I certainly won't be shocked if it doesn't pass. But for the first time, I won't be surprised if it does pass. So that's the level of optimism I'm willing to commit to on that.
The problem is, what's his name? John Thune?
John Thune
is in a humongous fight with Trump right now.
I know.
And I just, whatever the reason is, I don't really know. I don't know if they're having a pecker contest, you know what I mean?
I just don't know. That's the hill he wants to die on, if you will. That's the battle he wants to fight. There's a lot of other things they disagree on that are more important. And listen, time will tell. But you're right. That looms out there. It's a catalyst. I want to get to Gambit Beer. Thank you very much for the super chat, Gambit Beer. It's a good answer, Tom. Just FYI, Ionic Digital, the Bitcoin miner that came out of the Celsius debacle, is becoming an AI player. IPO soon. Very interesting. Thanks for the info, Gambit Beer. Thanks for being a longtime member. That's interesting. Boy, that's one of those we'd like to forget.
46 more for me to get her. I said 150.
Did we get to 100? Thank you very much, everybody.
Call your friends. Log out, log in a new account.
If you just got here, or if you haven't smashed the like button yet, consider smashing the like button. And if you enjoy our live streams, consider subscribing to the channel. We do this every Friday after the market closes, and we also have a members section that we do every Tuesday after the market closes, where we're actually able to discuss a lot more than we are in here. So either way, we'll be happy if you just smash the like button. So appreciate all of you guys. All right, let's keep going, because we got a lot. Man, this was, what's the poll that's going right now? Okay. Will there be a rate cut in the next 14 months? I'm going to end this poll. 70% of you say yes. 30% say no. I want to show you what the Fed futures are showing, because this is stunning to me. And then we'll put up the next poll. What's the next poll, George?
No, there's lightning just like not even 1,000 feet away. Ooh, that's scary.
Ooh, close one.
What's 46 lights between good friends, George? I want to see if we can do it. I think we can do it, guys. 107. Today
Ready?
is just one of those days. I have a feeling it's going to happen.
Ready for this? CME.
Ready.
This is the CME Fed or futures target rate probability. So this is basically what's being built in based on futures trading. Here's the next meeting, June 17th. 0.0% chance of a rate cut. 0.0. 3.5% chance of a rate hike. That's the next meeting. I'll go quickly. A month later, 0% chance of a rate cut. 84% chance we say the same. 15.5% chance of one rate hike. 0.5% chance of two rate hikes. Go to the next month, September. 0% chance of a rate cut. 63% we say the same. 32% we have one rate hike. 4.2% that we have two rate hikes. 0.1% that we have three rate hikes. October. 49% that we stay the same. Now, less than half. A rate hike is built in by October. Not a rate cut, a rate hike. And that is split as follows. 39% think 125 basis point rate hike. 10.5% think 225 basis point rate hikes, or theoretically this could come as 150 basis point rate hike. And then 1% thinks 325 basis point rate hikes. Okay, let's go to December, last meeting of the year. Percent chance of a rate cut. So just FYI, the market is pricing in a 0% chance of a rate cut in the year 2026. Our poll was what? 54 to 46? More people thought no than yes, but we were very close to 50-50. The market's pricing in a 0.0% chance of a rate cut. They are, in fact, pricing in a 63% chance of a rate hike, broken out as follows. 41.7% chance of a 25 basis point rate hike. 17.5% chance of two 25 basis point rate hikes. 3.3% chance of three rate hikes, and 0.3% chance of four rate hikes. The market is pricing in a higher probability that we have four rate hikes than they are the probability that we have one rate cut. I think we're going to look at this. I will take screenshots of this. I think we're going to look at this in September, October, and November, and this is going to be so radically different that I believe this is madness. So, and I don't think you guys disagree with me, because we did two polls. We were 50-something to 40-something on a rate hike this year. The market's at 0.0, not even 0.1, 0. I don't think that's rational. I think that this is manipulation. How about next year? I'm going to skip all the ones in the middle so I don't bore you guys to death. I'm going to go to the very last one. This is July 28th, 14 months from now. The market has priced in, at long last, a 1% chance that we will get a rate cut in the next 14 months. A 17% chance that rates will stay the same, and an 82% chance of rate hikes broken down between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6 rate hikes. This is stupidity. I said it. That's my personal opinion. Right? What do I know? I think this is insane. Let's do a poll.
wisdom, could be true, but I think Trump is not worried about the midterm because of one reason and one reason only. He's going to be handing it out cash. And so I don't think he's going to try to mess around with a market crash. I personally think that there's going to be a rate cut before the 4th of July. I just do. The economy is driven by two things. It's oil and housing. And we got one that I believe will be under control, which is oil. And now we need to get the housing under control. Tom, we're up to 112. Things are starting to take off here.
Very nice, very nice. Do you think that
38, guys?
Do you think the future's pricing in a 1% chance of a rate cut in the next 14 months? And what I didn't write is an 82% chance of a rate hike with a potential for 5 rate hikes on the table. That's what's going on right now. So again, this is why I would go over to Polymarket. Is it going to be this month or next month? Maybe no. But you think we're going 14 months without a rate cut? Because, by the way, that means then we just skipped the whole cycle. And I don't know what that would mean for this economy. I just know that it would be very bad things. So if you believe this is true, then we're in deep dog doo-doo. You can kiss the housing market goodbye. That's gonna make 2008 housing crash look like a party.
This is why I just can't understand. And Tom, is it true that most of the inflation at the supermarket is because of greedy corporations?
Boy, that's a loaded question.
I know. It just
I'm going to answer it because
that question.
I'm going to answer it. I think that is not the only piece of the puzzle, but it's a bigger piece than people might think. The supermarkets are minting money while we're all paying more for groceries and can't afford to buy food and bare necessities. The supermarkets are on a multi-year massive bull run. That's the publicly traded supermarkets. So we can only make assumptions.
Thank you, Jeff, even though you're not watching.
Jeff called this years ago.
Yeah.
2 years in a row, he said he called supermarkets as his number one play, and they went straight up both years. I mean, it's been unbelievable. So, yeah, I think that's a part of the problem. There's a lot of, obviously, there's more than one reason for that, but don't underestimate that while we're all, smashing our heads against the wall that everything's so expensive, they're minting money. And they're getting away with it. So, that's what's happening. I see somebody saying, Tom, how about keeling? I will mention, I want to go to Keel's chart, formerly Bitfarms. They will forever be Bitfarms in my mind. Here. On April 1st, what was formerly known as Bitfarms rebranded as Keel. And they re-domiciled their company from Canada to the United States. On that day, actually a week before that, I did call. This stock was trading in the high ones. And I said, we are going to run straight to $5. For those of you who were here, the 100 times I said that, you can vouch for me in the chat. And guess what? It's 52 days later, and Keel got over $5 today. It pulled back. It closed at less than that. It's up 165% since they rebranded, re-domiciled, and announced, by the way, simultaneously announced we are phasing out of Bitcoin mining by the end of 2027, and I really think it's going to be much sooner than that. we will have 0 Bitcoin miners operating. We are a data center company. 100% of our megawatts will be used for high-performance computing data centers. So all of those things put together have caused a 165% run-up in formerly Bitfarms, now Keel, and I don't think it is done. Now, we're in a little bit of overbought territory. We're at 71.87 on the daily RSI. But to put things in perspective, this stock ran up to, let's see, the high was $6.60 in October of 2025. That's when it was a Bitcoin miner, and that's when Bitcoin hit its all-time high, and that's when everything ran up. The market was on fire. But look, the daily RSI on that day was 92. 92. By the way, that was a double top. It had already topped at 92 a month earlier, pulled back, and ran up to 92 again. In that time period, then Bitfarms had a 400% run-up in 5 weeks. So I don't think this is not an all-time high. This multi-year high right here at $6.60, I don't think that's out of reach. I think this has structurally had a breakout. Once it got above this green line at $3.91, it's held it. Once it got above this on May 6th, it has held it every single day since then. And so I think we're in a structural breakout with this, and there's plenty of room. And you know what can often happen? You go back and retest this line, and then you go up to the next line. So that's possible as well. A healthy retest is never a bad thing. So I don't discount the fact that that might happen, but again, I think the next move for Keel from a big picture standpoint is up, and I think they stand a legit shot of being a $10 stock. That would be a 10-year high. I don't know if somewhere back before they ever did Bitcoin mining. I don't think they ever did. $9.36 was their high in November of 2021. And I think they could take a run at that and pass it. Having said that, George brought up a great point. If you look at market caps, if you go to Keel, Keel's market cap is now $2.9 billion, almost $3 billion. This was, give me one moment.
Think about this. This is probably going to pass freaking Cleanspark. They don't get their act together.
That's what I'm going to show next is Cleanspark, because Cleanspark is magnitudes larger company than Bitfarms. And their market caps are getting extremely close. So I'm going to show you guys this chart. This is market cap for this company. So you can see it was flatlined in 2019 and 2020. It was flatlined, and then it took off. This was a $1.35 billion market cap company in November of 2021 when it reached its all-time high. Now, because of massive amounts of stock dilution, the stock price is not at its all-time high, but the market cap is much higher. This got in the crypto winter. This was a $90 million market cap company. $90 million. It's now $3 billion. That's what has happened to this company since the double bottom in November and December of 2022. From 90 million to 3 billion. It's staggering. With that said, I think there's room to run. But here's why I think, and then we'll talk about CleanSpark next, because like I said, I think CleanSpark has had a structural breakout, even more so than Bitfarms or Keel. You guys are going to have to excuse me calling them Bitfarms for... See, now this result baffles me, George. Do you think the future is pricing in a 1% chance of a rate cut in 14 months is crazy? This is 50-50. Yet 70% of you think there's going to be a rate cut between now and then. That's what we just did, that poll. And 70% said, yes, there's going to be a rate cut. But you think them assessing a 1% chance is reasonable? I don't know. The people have spoken.
Don't put logic into things like that. 116, Tom. We're on a breakout.
All right. I'm going to end this at 50-50 because that's where it is. The people have spoken. It's 50-50. Alexander said, that's why I grow food in my backyard. Who needs supermarkets? Not a bad idea.
Tom, have they talked any more about the second house in Florida at all? Or have you heard about that?
About taxing?
No, about allowing to do away with single family residence and allowing every house to put a second house in the backyard.
I just don't functionally know how, if you've been to a lot of places in Florida, you couldn't put a dog house. You couldn't add a dog house to the yard. Never mind a house. If you look at the setbacks and where the houses are, we have very small lots in a lot of Florida. So we actually have communities that are called zero lot lines. So from concrete wall of your house to concrete wall of your neighbor's house is 5 feet. And on that side of the house, you're not allowed to have any windows. That's a zero lot line. So if you've got a 5 foot between your house and the next house, I don't know where you're building your second house. So they can pass that law if they want, but functionally speaking, now there's a lot of other places, you get a little further out. Lots of people have 1 acre, 5 acre, 10 acres. So I would be in support of all of those being able to have, at a minimum, a guest house and that kind of stuff. But no, I'm not in the loop on that. Paul Brown, Keel is a dumb name. Should have called it Krull, like the movie. LOL. You're dating yourself and me with that comment. Saw Krull in theaters. Not recommending it. I'm not recommending it either. I just...
Did you hear me?
Yeah. What's the theater?
A theater?
Riot has dumped their position in Bitfarms, and that's a part of what forced Bitfarms or now Keel to pivot. It all worked out in the end, but it was bad. I own those are both of those are in my top 5 largest holdings, and Riot was killing themselves once they sold that stock. They killed themselves. And they killed Bitfarms. Now, they killed Bitfarms a lot worse. So, but it's not like that helps them. This is not one of those industries where, if you could just get the other guy, you're fighting against the entire Bitcoin network, not a single Bitcoin company, mining company. So, taking out the competition is of no consequence. It's a waste of time. They never had a shot of acquiring them. They wasted hundreds of millions of dollars and a year of their life working on that when they could have been a year ahead on data centers right now. It took an advocate. Ironically, it was an advocacy group that built up a large block of stock in Riot that came in and told the board, you guys got to look at AI because you're missing the boat. Riot was not in on AI. So that, and I don't remember their name, but I thank them on behalf of all shareholders because at that point, Riot then did an assessment and they switched 700 megawatts from Bitcoin mining, future Bitcoin mining, to data centers. And they're pretty much heavy into data centers. Their stock has run up monumentally since then. So I don't know why it was they decided to tank both of those companies. No one will ever have a reasonable answer for that to me. It was very strange maneuver. And Sour Melon Gaming, thank you for the super chat. Sorry, it took me a second. ChatGPT 2030 bull case. IREN 300. Okay, so we Sour Melon Gaming asked ChatGPT for the bull case, and it's saying IREN $350 to $700. CleanSpark $100 to $200. Can you imagine IREN at $500? That's your $200 billion large cap company that I talked about at the beginning of this stream. So I agree with ChatGPT. That's not written in stone, but that's the bull case. That's real. So for those of you who feel like you missed the, $5 to $50 run, there's still the $50 to $500 run potentially ahead. Time will tell. We'll see. Obviously, no guarantees. And CleanSpark just had a breakout at $16. So for them to run to 100, right, 160 would be a 10x. 80 would be a 5x. So they're talking about them 6 or 7xing in the bull case scenario, which I agree with. And that's going to take me right to the CleanSpark chart, because something good's going on here.
Pam, I got to go.
All right, George.
Hang on, 118.
118. So all right. Well, thank you, everybody.
32 to go.
32 to go.
Do it.
Let's see if we can make it happen.
See you guys.
Thanks, George. Have a great weekend.
You too.
I'm going to go to the CleanSpark. So my point here is CleanSpark is now a $4 billion company, and Keel, formerly Bitfarms, is a $3 billion company. If you look at the balance sheet, income statement, infrastructure, where these two companies are at in their business cycle, I would put CleanSpark as 3 times. In my mind, they should be 3 times the market cap of CleanSpark. And remember, of Keel, formerly Bitfarms. And remember, Bitfarms is one of my big positions. So I don't think they're a bad company. I'm not rooting against them. I want their stock to go up from here. I just think it's a reflection more of the fact that CleanSpark is so wildly undervalued right now. And I'll show you a ticker. So you go from CleanSpark to TeraWulf. TeraWulf's an $11 billion company, almost 3 times the market cap of CleanSpark. I think there's a really good chance that CleanSpark is... Now, let me back up for a second. TeraWulf got into data centers, AI, and power long before CleanSpark did. So they have a big head start. And that is a factor, so you can't discount that to zero. But CleanSpark got vertically integrated. They were among the first to do so. So they've been indirectly building data center infrastructure from the beginning. They host all their machines. They're 100% vertically integrated. They have 1.8 gigawatts of power, and they've made some deals to add to that significantly. I think CleanSpark's a bigger company than TeraWulf. Just intrinsic value, I think it's a bigger company, and it's a little more than 1/3 the market cap. So to me, CleanSpark could double overnight, and to me, it would still be a buy. Obviously, you don't necessarily want to buy a stock that doubled overnight. It's not my point, but I think it's dramatically underpriced. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. CleanSpark has made an official breakout, and I think they're about to have a big run. 2 days ago, or yesterday actually, no, it was 2 days ago. 2 days ago on Wednesday, right? So we were talking about this happening on our Tuesday live stream, that this is the next move and we're knocking on the door. Well, sure enough, it happened the next day. The very next day, this close right here on Wednesday was the highest close of the year for CleanSpark. This line right here was December 31st. So everything to the right of this line is where CleanSpark's been in the year 2026. 2 days ago was the highest close of the year. Yesterday beat it, and that was the highest close of the year. Today beat that, and that was the highest close of the year. But we are now 2 days into not only having the highest close of the year, but in addition to that, this line of resistance, and you can see this was a healthy line of resistance. This bounced off of this for weeks back in December, could not break out of it, even through a candle wick. And this held the rest of the year. We just broke through that and had 2 daily candles in a row close above this massive line of resistance. To me, the next resistance is at around $18. And that is a much weaker line of resistance, in my opinion. And then the next one's at almost $25. So I think there's a real chance in the next 90 to 120 days, we're at 69.5 on the daily RSI. So we're getting a little overbought. But again, I'm going to go back here, just like the other one. This got up to 80, almost 87 on the daily RSI, not once, but twice. And then a third time, it got up to 86. So 70 is not overbought for companies like these. Really, I consider 80 overbought. Yes, it can get up to 85 or 90, but I'm not buying into a rally when the daily RSI is at 85. But at 69.5, this could easily take out 17, then maybe do a retest, 17 or 18, do a retest, and then run to 25. I think that's a reasonable picture. Now, if Bitcoin tanks in the middle, it still might do that, because really, Bitcoin was down 2.36% today, and CleanSpark was green, up 1.33%, because these stocks are now trading not as Bitcoin miners, but as power companies, data centers for AI. And I'm just going to go to one more. Where'd it go? If I can't find it, I'll move on. Okay. Bitcoin miners tied to AI rise as NVIDIA posts biggest earnings beat and strong outlook. So here's the interesting thing. And NVIDIA is another one of these stocks, although I think there's more room. NVIDIA is the biggest company in the world. At one point, they were $5.7 trillion market cap. They pulled back from that, but they're still over $5 trillion. So they crushed earnings again. But here's the problem. They beat on revenue. They beat on profitability. They raised their forecast. All that was already priced in. Now, the stock didn't tank, but it did nothing. It was down 1% or something. The better play on this, you can see it was the Bitcoin miners and some of the other AI-related plays that exploded on this and had phenomenal days. So while NVIDIA, all of that was already built into the price of NVIDIA, it wasn't built into CleanSpark. It wasn't built into IREN. It wasn't built into CIFR and TeraWulf, et cetera, et cetera. So I do think power's the big bottleneck. We're hopelessly behind on power. All of these companies already had a big jump on the rest of the world. They were somewhere, multiple years into building out data centers. Now, a Bitcoin mining data center is not identical, as you guys mostly know, I'm sure, is not identical to a high-performance computing data center. But it's 90% of the way there. You have your power connection, you have your building built, you have all the wiring to the building. I mean, yeah, you got to retrofit them, and there's cost to that, but it's you knocked 80 or 90% off of the timeline to get into this game. And that's where most of these Bitcoin miners sit. Even Marathon said, look, they got 70 something exahash of Bitcoin miners. They're willing to swap that out for high performance computing. If that's what their business calls for, if that's what the demand, allows. So I think there's a lot of upside left. And obviously, these stocks will get overheated. A lot of them are around 70. Now here's IREN. IREN's at 56 on the daily RSI. It had a bearish cross and kind of played that out. It's about to have a bullish crossover on the MACD. And I think 75 is in play for IREN in the short term. So, and this stock, here's a company that raised $3 billion and their market cap went down. I can understand their stock price going down, although I would argue that doesn't make any sense either. If you are an investor in IREN and they raise $3 billion, if you put your money in there, then you think management knows what they're doing. We know everyone that invests in this knows they're going to borrow money to build out their data centers. So they borrowed money. They borrowed $3 billion. Their stock went down more than what they borrowed. Their market cap went down. So they're the same identical company as they were 1 minute earlier. The only difference is they now have $3 billion of cash in their hand. And what the market did was price that it's now worth less than it was before they got the $3 billion. There's no sense in that. This got oversold. This got shorted. This got manipulated, in my opinion. And I think this still hasn't, you can see it bottomed, it double bottomed. This is a super strong line of support, somewhere around $33. It got down there back in December. It revisited it back in April. This is when they announced, this is when they announced their earnings. And on the same day, they announced that they were raising what they thought was going to be $2 billion, what ended up being $3 billion. And you can see they got up to, they don't show in after hours. So during hours, this got up to $65.61. And after hours, IREN ran up to $73. And then everybody started to digest the fact that they're borrowing $3 billion, and they decided to tank the market cap by $5 or $6 billion as a result of borrowing $3 billion. So big pullback. Naturally, we are now recovering. So I think, we hit 73 after hours. We got a line at $76.87 is where we were in November of 2025. I think that's short term. I think that's in play. So, and again, a lot of this does not depend on Bitcoin having a run. IREN has said they're out. They had 50 exahash of Bitcoin mining. They had the most efficient fleet of every publicly traded company, 15 joules per terahash. And they've said they will not be mining any Bitcoin long before the halving. They're done. They were already turned a lot of their machines off. So they've gotten some, on the flip side, they've gotten some massive contracts, and they're not priced in at all. NVIDIA is not only a customer, but a partner. And the stock's down since they announced that. So I think there's room here. That's my personal opinion. So let's go back. Of course, this is doing its thing. My chart is not cooperating. Ah, it's back. All right. So this is what just to finish up, this is what all of these companies did. The AI data center / Bitcoin miners. This was this week. Hive up 51%, CleanSpark up 22%. Those were the big winners. But I got to tell you, Marathon up 11, BitDR up 10, Keel up 10, CIFR up 8, IREN up 7. Those are big wins on a week where, Bitcoin was down 4. Remember, these are just not, like I said, they're not really tethered to Bitcoin anymore. Even though most of these companies, 90+% of Hive's revenue is from Bitcoin mining, 90+% of CleanSpark's revenue is from Bitcoin mining. Marathon, same thing. But their future is not Bitcoin mining necessarily. They're getting priced with this choke point in AI, which is power. And they've got the power. And that's what everybody needs. So you can see it was a super green week. I want to show you the month. We had some rough months. This is not one of them. Hive is up 69% month to date. By the way, Bitfarms Bitcoin flat on the month, down 1% on the month. So basically flat. In that time, Hive's up 69%. Keel, formerly Bitfarms, is up 59%. Riot's up 42%. Riot's on fire. Hut up 40%. BitDR 30%. CleanSpark 27%. Core Scientific 26%. IREN 25%. CIFR 24%. Marathon, a little bit of distance there, is still up 15%. Marathon to me is more than due. They're overdue for a run. TerraWolf up 5%, but when you go to year to date, you're going to see they're having a good year. Only MicroStrategy, which isn't even, they're just a treasury company, and ABTC, the only remaining 100% pure play Bitcoin miner, those are the only ones in the red in May. Everything else had anywhere from a good month to an outstanding month. And that brings our year to date. So I'll jump right to Wolf, which had a bad, comparatively speaking, not a great May, but it's because they're up 99% year to date. They're basically at a double year to date. Keel or Bitfarms is up 105% year to date. Hut's up 131% year to date. Riot, this is a sleepy stock that most people really don't pay attention to. They're up 93% year to date. And I think there's room to run. Core Scientific, 73%, a bunch in the 50s. Again, MicroStrategy, which is not involved in data centers. They're a Bitcoin treasury company, so they trade directly related to Bitcoin. And ABTC, the only remaining pure play Bitcoin miner, they trade correlated to Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's down 13% this year. So those two are massively lagging. But the others, this is good stuff. All right, I'm going to call it. I went over, but that's okay. Like I said, there was a massive amount to talk about. There is more for the members. I'll try to get to everything else on the Tuesday live stream. Just a lot going on, but I hope you guys are encouraged. And, we will be talking more on the members only live stream about some of the other stocks and sectors we're rotating into. And some stocks in specific. So I look forward to that. To everybody, have a great weekend. Thank you guys so much for joining us on the live stream. And special thanks to subscribers. Super special thanks to members and to everybody that did a super chat. You can smash the like button on the way out. It still helps us. And if you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. So Thank you guys very much and have a fantastic weekend. Go Bitcoin.